All right. Well,
What a week.
What a week. What a week. Back for another episode of the Eh-soteric Archives. And yeah, what a week it's been. We're doing the separate room thing again this week, but yeah.
Yeah.
We will.
I appreciate it.
It's nice. I was tired today, so it's nice to be able to. I kept my sweatpants on today. I'm wearing sweatpants.
Me as well.
Nice.
Me as well. Yeah, normally, even though you can't see below the desk, I'm wearing jeans or shorts or something, but yeah, not today. No, sweatpants.
It's that kind of episode.
It is.
But yeah, so
sweatpants, it'll be short soon. Spring has sprung on
well, I don't know, man. I was looking at the weather and we're supposed to get like snow on Monday, I guess. Yeah. It's like it's back to low temps overnight and some potential for snow, which we didn't even end up getting snow last time. They said it was gonna happen. So
yeah, this is the first winter in a while. We usually get snow once for like 2 days.
Yeah. It has been cold though. It's like it's not warming up quite yet.
No.
I don't know.
Maybe then that prediction will come true. It'll send some, you know what I mean? And speaking of those, your prediction came true.
Yeah, I did want to bring that up. Well, like it sort of came true. My killer Roomba prediction. Not so much killer Roombas, but Chinese spy Roombas. So
I'd say if you made that prediction on a major podcast, that was pretty obscure, right? For that, and that happened pretty quick. I think that was a good call.
Yeah,
and do you want to tell the little blurb about what happened there? Like what?
Well,
what was it exactly?
Apparently, this guy he wanted to like build his own app to control. He bought one of the. I don't know if it was necessary. I don't know if it was a Roomba brand robotic vacuum, but it was one of the big robotic vacuums out on the market, and he wanted to build his own app, so he tried to build this like basically a backdoor, like code a backdoor so that he'd be able to control it just from his phone or whatever, create a path for it. And he ended up unlocking like 7,000 robotic vacuums. Like he was able to control and see locations and the room mapping of like 7,000 of them. So I mean that's like just an open crazy. Back. Yeah. I mean, if this guy can just do it out of his house, it's almost like, did he do it before the Chinese were able to do it? Was that the plan all along?
Are there going to be? I think yours was like the pagers, right? But it would be Roombas.
Yeah.
Like I know that you said the Chinese, but I know someone for sure who hacks things and kills people. One group of people.
That is true.
One government agency, probably a few government agencies. I'm sure the CIA knows how to do that stuff if they wanted to.
Yeah, I'm sure they all have a department that's able to hack Roombas. So
yeah,
I don't know. Maybe that's why they ended up bombing Iran. Is they foiled the big Roomba plan, and send in the ballistic missiles. I guess
that's how they got the Ayatollah. They with the Roombas.
Yeah, it wasn't actually a barrage of missiles. It was just his little vacuum.
Yeah, that was a pretty crazy prediction, though. That did come true. Good for you, man.
Yeah. No, that's I'm gonna mark it off as a win.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But I mean, that being said, Iran.
Yeah, and there's another prediction, right? Like that. There's the thing that's like obviously then everything that's other than what's gone on. The thing that out of all of it is this whole. I don't know if you saw it, them talking to the military before and telling them it was biblical prophecy, and
I did see that.
That prophecy might not come true, but certainly looks like it's going that way.
Well, people have been kind of saying that for a while, right? With like they're trying to like bring on the end times, like with the sacrifice of the red heifer and all of that, right? Like,
yeah,
it's like it is written, so they're just trying to see it through to kind of speed things along.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's looking pretty hairy right now, and it's got it's reminiscent of the 2 weeks to flatten the curve kind of thing, right? Like they're like, oh, it's just a 48-hour mission. Oh, it's a 72-hour mission. Oh, actually, it's a couple weeks. Oh, now it's like they're saying September, October, and yeah, I just saw something about Trump's like Baron Trump potentially being drafted as like a general or something.
Oh,
Like
wow.
I was reading that like right before we jumped on here. So I don't
Hey,
know,
well,
man.
they say, like, I don't think a lot of them have any children involved usually, right? So,
Yeah,
I don't know. It's, yeah, it's pretty crazy. It's
yeah.
pretty crazy to watch with obviously no side. We're neither of us, I think, are a side.
No,
I'm
war's
not
bad.
Yeah, 100%, right? Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, when it started, it always makes me sad in the beginning, and then I realize I don't wanna give them my sadness and my whatever, and I just you know what I mean? Whenever you
yeah. I
talk
mean,
to people about it.
we talked about it before, right? Where we were just like the whole regime change thing. It's like they did this in well, they did it in like Iraq. They did it in Libya. They've done it in Ukraine, where it's like there is a group of people being oppressed. It's not like the Iranian people were like having a good time under the Ayatollah, but at the same and so obviously there is going to be people that are from Iran or currently there that are supportive of the regime being toppled, but like it's always just about what comes next.
What what country that they've what country, is there one where they've rid the country of a dictator, you know what I mean, or an authoritarian? When
Yeah.
has it gotten better,
Well, exactly. Yeah.
right? Whenever they meddle and get involved, it's never it's only better for the US, right? It's
Yeah.
never better for the people who live there or better for the country. And I know
Yeah.
that I don't know enough about what was going on in Iran to know, do you know what I mean? I know what I saw and those sorts of things, but I know that in this day and age, a lot of video can be doctored or shaded
Well,
one way.
yeah.
I
I mean, I've seen those videos of like Iran in the 70s and stuff, and it was like they were like on the forefront of scientific innovation and like in the
Yeah,
medical industry and stuff like that. And then obviously the Sharia thing kind of came in
yeah,
and I mean they had like burqa cameras, like their street cameras and stuff were like if a woman was caught outside without a burqa, like it was like getting a red light ticket here, except
mhm,
you don't get a ticket in the mail, you get dealt with. Yes,
mhm.
it's
Which
pretty.
speaking to that, right? Like they just off their religious leader. I don't think you're gonna win the hearts and minds of the people who weren't already on that side, right? Like you're just
Oh
gonna
yeah.
anger them further, I think. And yeah, I don't know. I saw the Iranian general saying that they're ready for the US to put troops on the ground and we will not surrender. And
Yeah,
yeah,
and then
anyway.
our wet noodle of a prime minister was, like, at first he was, like, supportive of the attack, and then he was against it, now he's supportive again or not
Yeah,
sure. It's just
yeah.
like the guy can't make up his mind.
Elbows up.
Yeah, I saw, someone was saying elbows up, elbows down. It was like our prime minister chicken dance, like, just all over the place.
And when you mentioned they said it's gonna be a short period of time, that's another thing. When the US, other than Libya, where they just kinda incited what went on there and
Mhm.
then left, but when they actually go into a country, when was the last time they were there for a short period of time and out and everything was fine? That's also never happened, right? Like,
Yeah, well, I think the difference too is like so Libya was like about resources. A lot of it was about resources, right? Like
and getting rid of Gaddafi because Gaddafi had different ideas as well. I don't know what to believe, right? Like I'm
yeah.
sure he was trying to unite Africa. And when you read some stuff about Libya, like once again, don't know which side to believe fully because I've never been there, um, and wasn't there. But you read like I think he was actually revered by a lot of people. He just wouldn't bend to the U.S. and they can't have that. Like
And
they
he was
can have countries that won't bend to them.
yeah, he was talking talking smack against the central banks and stuff too. And there's
Yeah,
a, you know, you see everyone, I'm sure everyone that's listening to this podcast has seen that list of all the countries that don't have a Rothschild like central bank, right?
yeah,
Like, and Iran being one of them. So I
yeah.
think now all that's left is like North Korea
Cuba
and Cuba. Yeah.
and
And Cuba.
Venezuela was one as well, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And now yeah, they've ticked them off one by one.
Hmm.
It's kinda crazy. And there so speaking of Cuba, I think they mentioned that today. Trump today when I was it's what, March 6th? March
Fifth
5th?
today.
5th? Yeah,
Yeah.
March 5th. Um, saying something to some Cuban musician or some guy who got an award, "Oh, pretty soon you'll be able to go back to Cuba and we'll all go there and celebrate properly." I can't remember exactly who it was.
Yeah.
But insinuating like Cuba's next.
Well, yeah, it kind of seems that way. There was a
Oh.
press conference the other day that I caught like a little bit of, and they were talking about like they were referencing the attack on Venezuela and capturing all that oil and stuff, and kind of alluding to like, oh, like that's our oil now, and
Mhm.
it's just like, holy shit, man,
Well,
like,
and I think well, for other than there's a lot of reasons they went after Venezuela, but one of the biggest ones I think was to get secure oil because they knew they were gonna go into Iran.
mhm,
Do you know what I mean? So they had to have it get it from somewhere, and, oil's gonna go through the roof because Iran's, putting a hold up where a lot of the oil comes from, and anyway.
yeah. I kind of think like, when it honestly makes me a little worried with all the talk about the 51st state stuff, bringing that back up, like everything, everything Trump has said he was going to do in that sense, in a geopolitical sense, is like kind of coming to fruition. So,
Mhm.
like Canada was on that list, and not
Yeah.
that, again, like, not that I think we're all that separate from the United States as it is. So, it's not like most of our oil companies here are owned by the US anyways, or
Mhm.
American investors, so it's not gonna be like a run and gun kinda thing like it was in Venezuela, or like it probably will be in Cuba, but at the same time, like, yeah, I don't know. We're getting oil from Australia right now. I read that the other day.
It's so crazy. It's crazy to me that they can try to pivot for things like COVID and like all these ESG thing. You know what I'm saying, right? Like they can
Yeah.
change in the way a company works and the way they do things for those things. But you would think an oil company in Canada would learn to pivot to supply oil to North America when the US goes around doing these things because it drives the price of oil up always, right?
Well, it makes
And
me
gas
think they're
does.
just sitting on the reserves for a reason, right? Like,
Yeah.
they'll pull in oil from Australia, they'll pull in oil from other countries
Yeah.
right now just to hold on, because Canada's gonna have to be they're waiting to tap it again
Yeah.
for yeah. Yeah, I don't know,
Yeah.
man. Things are escalating quickly.
Ecuador too, I saw that. The US went into Ecuador today. I don't know
Jesus.
a whole lot about that. I don't know if it was I think they said it was just terrorism related, like drug cartel or
Yeah.
they're fighting a lot of wars and a lot of fronts. You know what I
They
mean?
sure do. Yeah.
If I was China, anyway,
Yeah.
if that was even a real thing, which I don't think that's I don't think that's a real thing either, but
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, again, like, you read all these opinions, and, you have the truth always lies somewhere in the middle, right? Like, you have the Q people that are very rah-rah right now, trust the plan, all this is coming to fruition, and there's
uh-huh.
a lot of connections to be made with it. I'm not gonna, like, sit here and deny that, like, a lot of the things that were in the Q drops are kinda, like, happening, um, but that doesn't mean that, like, that's the way, that's the path, that's the you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're still in the Q game now, that you know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
I got it at the I was never a Q fan, but I read a lot of the stuff during COVID and during that time just to see what it was all about, and you could see that some of the things did happen, and you could see, there's a lot of numerology that lined up and
Yep.
whatever, but there was something really weird about it.
Oh, for
Um,
sure.
and
Yeah.
and and I just yeah, and the way that people just latch onto it, I think, because people are looking for something to believe in, and it probably makes their life easier to trust Q, right?
Yeah.
Like, no
Yeah.
no different than trusting your whatever religion, you are, whatever god or gods you like, just giving into that, right? Same thing.
Well, it's the whole thing with like enlightenment, right? It's like if you're truly enlightened or awakened, it's like you kind of with that comes like admitting that you don't know. Like that's kind of the awakening process, right? Is realizing that it's all a show
Mhm.
and none of this is kind of like real and like real. Not to say people aren't being hurt and bad things aren't actually happening, but like it's all just it's all happening and you're never really going to know what's going on. It's about like, you know, bring it inward and you know.
It really is the was like, the veils being lifted, right?
Yeah.
That's correct, that's the meaning of apocalypse or whatever, right? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. I know that's been said so many times over the last probably 5, 6, 10 years, whatever, but, like, it is so true. Everything's getting light shined on it, shined on it. Yeah, yeah.
Sean.
The light is shining on the truth. There you
Yeah.
go. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, which
Yeah,
is I don't know, it hurts in some ways, and you see some stuff, but yeah. One thing I did wanna say, I know we're gonna if you wanna change the topic, that's totally cool. I heard today something about I've tuned out the Epstein files a little bit for the last week. I've just tried to, like, ignore it, whatever.
for
But I
sure.
heard something today on a podcast, which maybe you've heard before, and if you have, I apologize, and maybe I've heard it and it just anyway, in one of the files, there's something about Epstein wanting his DNA in the vaccine.
Oh yeah, I've heard
All
that
or
a
I said
bunch of
the bad
times.
word.
Oh
In
yeah.
the Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
Be that That's crazy. I don't know how I've never heard that. Maybe I heard it and just didn't let it register, you know what I mean? Because I didn't.
Well, so I think there's like I don't know if it's a direct quote that's saying that, but like what I had heard is that his like whole goal was to seed the human race with his DNA. And so that like played into the whole like baby farm thing and all that, but like because obviously things are coming to light that he was involved in the planning of the scamdemic and with
Yeah.
Gates and all and Fauci and all them, right? Like so yeah, that I definitely have heard that. I don't know how I've because again, like I think if anything, like I'm still more on the narrative of like it's sort of like a slow kill bioweapon kind of thing,
Mhm,
and then or like an infertility thing, like a to so
mhm,
that like the offspring are not able to actually have children. Like I've heard that. I've heard a
mhm.
lot of theories surrounding it, but that would be pretty wild if
Like, what I heard today, and I believe it was on the Higher Side chats, like the newest one. I I will double check and maybe say this in another episode to be sure, but it was just it it was that he put his DNA it's in the vaccine because he wants it in everyone, and it was in the Epstein files. Like, it was something that someone found or
huh,
multiple people found, and in the email, I think, to Fauci.
huh.
Anyway, crazy. But is it even real, right? We talked about that before, and that's the other thing. Like, it's something that got me back in because I'd pushed the Epstein stuff kinda away for a bit,
Mhm,
right? Like,
mhm.
didn't even look at it, like I said, didn't look at it, didn't read it, and it got me sucked back in, so
Yeah, I
maybe that
mean
was the point.
it's a crazy theory, and like there's even crazier theories out there that Epstein and the lot of them, that they're not human, right? They're like this either like reptilian or like demonic kind of other class of species, well, other kind of being, So it's like, yeah, like it could have been like if it is a reptilian thing, like let's go full schizo here, and what if it is a reptilian thing and they are trying to seed the planet with their lower vibrational,
Mhm.
DNA, their black goo. you know?
Gross.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, right. And I believe it was one of the victims said that he shapeshifted
Yeah, I have
during
heard
during
that.
intercourse, like Billy Corrigan said about Tila Tequila.
Yeah,
Oh,
I've heard that story as well.
yeah. And I heard a
Um,
video that was another thing I saw, I think it was last week, it was a little video of her, it was on tinfoil hat, some guy, I can't, wasn't Izzy Griffin, but anyway, it was just a little clip of her admitting and talking about having a double and being an alien and shape-shifting, and but you never know what to believe, right? She sounded pretty fucked up at the time, so
yeah. Yeah,
right?
drugs will do that to you. So, it's
Drugs are
hard to
bad, and okay? Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, man, I don't know, and that kind of comes back down to, like, the thinning of the veil, right? Like, it's maybe
Yep.
they can't hide anymore, so they're just gonna be real in your face with it,
Mhm.
and, and we're just gonna start seeing more of this weird shape-shifting stuff, and it could have been there all along. I mean, and that's maybe a good segue into what we were gonna actually kinda talk about today, because
I thought that's where you were going with that, actually.
yeah,
Good
so,
for
I
you, man.
mean, yeah, I mean, we were our kind of plan our plan was to have a more lighthearted episode and talk about just some weird stuff, even though we started off on this foot, but,
Yeah.
with the thinning of the veil and scary things and, things that go bump in the night, we were gonna kinda go over some cryptid sightings and theories around different kinds of cryptids that exist within Canada and around the world because they do exist, like, much like war, it's everywhere.
Yeah.
Every
Yeah.
country has their own cryptids, and there's some pretty wild similarities between them. So, yeah, I guess we can kind of dive into it. The one thing that I found really really interesting, just to sort of kick it all off, is I didn't realize that the word cryptid was created by a Canadian dude.
Mhm.
Um,
J.W. Burns, was it?
what was that? I thought it was something Hall or
I There's a lot of when you look at the research, like the early pioneers of cryptids and cryptid research, a a lot of them come from like, started in Canada. None of them are actually Canadian, I think, or 2 of them are, 1 was born here. Um,
Yeah, so it
yeah, yeah.
says John E. Wall in
Oh,
1983
okay,
officially
yeah, yeah.
coined the term, and he was
Cryptid.
a cryptozoologist.
Huh.
But yeah, it's like I mean it's Greek in origin from the word cryptos, meaning hidden.
Hmm.
So yeah, this guy coined, and I think he was from Montreal or something, which they all tend to be from Montreal. But yeah, he coined the term, and sort of started this obsession with different kinds of cryptids and stuff. So I mean, there's a few obviously really well known uh, cryptids in Canadian lore. Sasquatch obviously being probably the
Mhm.
most famous. He's large and in charge in that world.
Sasquatch, and I think Ogopogo and those, the serpent, the water serpent, like Nessie types, they're also pretty prevalent as well, right? Because there's Champ in on Lake Champlain, and then seems like every mountainous lake in BC has some lore or legend attached to
Yeah.
it, right? It really does. There's like when you look into it, almost not every lake, but the bigger ones certainly do, or one big lake in a region or a deep lake. It's always a deep lake that you
Well,
find
lakes are creepy. I've always kind of thought,
it.
like I don't mind rivers. Rivers flow. They're like,
Yeah, yeah.
not to be cautious around a river because it'll sweep you away. And oceans are oceans. They're vast and they're like kind of calming. But lakes always have this like creepy vibe to them. Like the like Lake Placid. You never know what's like creeping below. You swim in a lake and something brushes up against your leg, and I don't know. I've never really liked. I hate being on a boat on a lake.
Really?
Yeah, I'm not a fan of like, I don't mind being on a boat anywhere else, but like in the middle of a lake, I don't know. There's something about it.
See, for me, like there's almost nowhere that I'm more comfortable than on a boat on a lake.
Really?
Oh yeah, and swimming in a lake, nothing beats it on a hot summer day for sure. I get the whole and see, so I'm not getting you to play the clip now, but when you show the clip, right, the short little Ogopogo clip,
Yeah.
right, from a couple of years ago, there's a kid right there,
Yeah.
right on a, I think he's on like a, you know what I mean, a little water board or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess
So
maybe just for anyone, because we do have some listeners outside of Canada. So for those that are not from the Great North here, Ogopogo is basically like a Loch Ness monster, Canadian Loch Ness monster. Um, which again, interesting because there's a lot of Scottish ties to Canada, right? So
yeah, I when you look at the sightings about Ogopogo, because it's the most cited like individual cryptid in Canada, like the, you know what I mean, the most sightings of it. I think there's like over 300 or something like that.
yeah.
But it goes back to 1872. So there've been sightings of Ogopogo since then, documented sightings, and then in all the native, you know, oral histories and in their lores and legends, they talk about it too. It's always been a part of it.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, Whereas a lot of other ones, just because you mentioned Nessie, they didn't. The Loch Ness monster was found, that's when a lot of other ones kind of exploded, and then people were seeing them all over the place.
Yeah. Yeah, and
Yeah.
it kind of becomes one of those things where it's like once it's in the collective mind, it's sort of like, the mind's plays tricks on you too, right? You don't know what you're seeing, and it's easy to kind of, because I used to live on the Fraser River, like right on the Fraser River, and I would see sturgeon spawning,
Hmm.
and they're massive, like they can get huge, and they're hundreds of years old, and when they when they kind of pop out of the water and turn, it's the first time I saw one, I was like, what is that? I didn't, my mind didn't instantly go to, oh, that's a big fish. My mind was like, what did I just see? Like trying to make sense of it. So I could definitely see mistaking something like a sturgeon
Hmm.
or like, something like that for an Ogopogo. But the sheer size of some of these sightings, like I'll play some of the clips here, but you can tell just from like what these people are seeing that it's not, yeah, they're way too big to just be mistaken as like a fish. And
Hmm.
there's some pretty recent sightings too. So which one should I play first? Is it the let's see here. There's the best lake monster video I've
Yeah,
seen.
I think
That
that
one?
one. That's the one with the kid on the on the paddleboard,
Okay,
I
here.
think.
Let's take a look at this one.
But play it to a certain point, and then you'll see a guy with a really funny mustache. When you see that, you can just stop it.
Okay.
Yeah, I think if you,
Now, an ancient lake, a monster long thought to exist, finally caught on camera.
I think it's a 120-foot fast-moving serpentine snake.
This is just the latest report of a monstrous creature in the lake.
We've had multiple sightings here of 2 or 3 Ogopogo in Lake Okanagan. Perhaps there's more than one.
A creature which for centuries has been known to and feared by local tribespeople.
Ogopogo is the English word for Nhakaik. It means the sacred one of the water.
The sighting has amazed and terrified locals.
This experience has had a huge impact on our family. My son won't go swimming past the sandbar anymore, and I definitely am not going in the water.
The first thought is, what is that? And then the second thought is that kid in danger?
Yeah. Pretty weird.
yeah, and I like if you slow it down, I slowed it down a couple times, and not that I'm an analyst of any sort, but it looked weird to me. But it could have been it could have been some fish rolling. I don't think there are carp in that lake, and I don't think there are sturgeon, but both of those fish, if they did some weird stuff, could maybe look like that.
Well, it's
Yeah.
not, yeah, and it's not like in lakes you don't get the same type of like seismic activity. Like in an ocean, you'll get like a maelstrom, or you'll get
Mhm.
weird tides that can
Yeah.
kind of look strange. But in a lake, you don't really get that unless it's windy, and it didn't. That also didn't have like any white caps or anything on it.
And I will say, right, so if you take the guy who watched it and who filmed it and his kid at their word, and also when you're in the like they would have been way closer and had a better view.
Mm-hmm.
If you take them at their word for what they saw, like it's hard to say that wasn't something weird. And yeah. Anyway, it's an odd one.
And there's this other one this was in, I believe, Kelowna. The one that they showed on Global News, which strange that Global News would air something like this, but you get like a glimpse of the head. Like they have a picture zoomed in of the actual head. Here, I'll show this one.
That
too.
one. Yeah. There's a lot of Ogopogo sightings, eh? There's a lot of serpent sightings in Canada, like water serpent.
Yeah. So this is, I mean, again, it's Global News, so take it with a grain of salt. But
he snapped a photo.
It wasn't until we got home, we got looking at it and zoomed in on it that we were like
puzzled.
The horns are what if we can call them that.
So
the nodules.
Yeah.
Oh, at least 3 feet.
And then it goes out from.
So for anyone,
sorry, I was just gonna say it looks like a calf head.
Yeah, I thought like my first thought was sort of like dragon-esque, like like there's horns and then like a snout. We
can call them that.
So
the nodules.
Yeah.
Oh, at least 3 feet.
And then it goes out from there.
And it would have been that big. And that's why I thought if it was Ogopogo sleeping, I don't want to be here.
Now, we've shown the photograph to our expert, and he was surprised by what he saw. However, he does have a theory of what it could be, if not the legendary lake monster Ogopogo.
I am not going to lie. As soon as I opened up, I did have a moment of hesitation, like, whoa, this is not like something I've seen before, because you immediately see the horns. And a lot of classic depictions of lake monsters, people will note horns of some type. At first glance, it does appear to be monstrous looking. You're looking at some head, but, taking into consideration being able to zoom in and the coloration and, the location in which a head would naturally be in relation to a leg or a wing, it appears to be some sort of aquatic bird, whether it be a goose or a duck or something like that.
No,
I don't see that at all. Literally at all. A goose? Has this guy ever seen a goose?
I would say it's more likely a piece of wood than a goose.
Or like just my thought was like, oh, it's just a piece of like seaweed type, like just sea crap like floating to the surface.
And so that is the problem, not problem, but that's the issue with a lot of these, with the, you know what I mean, the plesiosaurus type sightings, like, because there's Cadborosaurus, which is near us too, right? But any of those, there's so many things that float in the water that it could be, the water can refract things and change things, and you can fake things maybe and float them a little bit under the water, kind of thing. Anyway, it does make it hard to totally believe a video or a photo.
For sure. But I mean, like again, like for those that haven't been to Canada, like our lakes are huge. They're massive.
Mm-hmm.
Like something large could easily be hiding in there. And our lakes and river, the water channels are so connected that these things could travel.
Mm-hmm.
Essentially. The only thing that's always kind of boggled my mind with it is like, okay, well, is there one, or is it a species, like a rare species that just mates? Because again, like then what, this thing is hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years old. And if it's that large, it's obviously got to feed, it's got to eat a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So
so that's the thing, right? It's either 100% real, not either, but you know what I'm saying? But it is like, it's either 100% a real animal, like a real, like it's you know what I mean? Like a dinosaur caught in a lake, and that's what it is, which is, I think, like what's been the explanation for it, or the scientific one for anyone who's studied it for a while, up until, about the last couple decades. That's what the theory was. It's either that, or I like what you said about all the waterways being connected, and maybe there is some underground aquifers that we're not privy to, or
Well,
there
yeah,
is, what is it, Agartha, you know what I mean, like they maybe. I'm not 100%, I'm not a hollow earth guy. I will listen to it and entertain the idea, but it's not, I don't know enough to know. But
no,
that would explain
I
how it
get it.
can go from place to place, right? And then you never see, or you never, anyway.
Well, and that's so like you mentioned the Cadborosaurus, which is like the Pacific Coast version of this, that's been sighted at Cadboro Bay,
Hmm.
which like again, like that's just like an inlet that attaches to the ocean. I used to go to that beach all the time. Um, and there's been sightings similar of it all the way up like Georgia Strait to Barkley Sound and extending into Alaska and Washington too, right? Like both
Hmm.
ways. So, and over 300 sightings claimed in 200 years. Horse or camel like head, which like that, when I think like a horse type head, I think like that's sort of like the dragon kind of archetype, right? Like a dragon head is very like horse like, less
Hmm.
reptilian, more like a horse.
Yep.
So yeah.
And being in the Pacific Ocean, like, and where it is, I would, for that one, would definitely lean towards it either being a real like true animal,
Mhm.
um or or completely fake, and people are just seeing stuff floating in the ocean, or logs, or
Yeah.
right. I look at the beach. I'm at the beach almost every day, and I almost every day mistake something in the water while I'm looking at it for something else. And then you look for another second, you're like, oh, that's actually this, or that's actually that.
Yeah, for
Um,
sure. For sure.
but also with the First Nations also have an oral history talking about the same animal, and there were sightings. So this was the one, when you do a little bit of research, and the Cadborosaurus peaked when Nessie came out. I think it was like 2 months after the Loch Ness monster like burst onto the scene, we'll say.
Mhm.
The Cadborosaurus became a thing, and there's a couple, if you do a little bit of research, you can find that it maybe was a bit of a publicity stunt. Whether that doesn't mean it's not true, but they definitely try to take advantage of that and one of the people looking into the Cadborosaurus in the 30s was like a guy from the Times Colonist in Victoria, like
Oh,
a
okay.
reporter. And you know what I mean? Trying to drum up business and whatever. And there's old pictures of, they said they found one washed up in a whale shark. Like if you Google it, you can find it. It it looks weird, and it does look like a horse head on it,
Yeah,
but it's like kind of decomposed, and it could be many things.
for
I
sure.
don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so I guess like that's, the Ogopogo Nessie type stuff. That's I'm kind of with you on that, where I think there's more of a chance of it being just like a sort of a prehistoric kind of a real live animal, as opposed to, because like the cryptid spectrum is, you have these like real animal types to
Yeah.
more of a, all that like extends into sort of the paranormal.
Which we will get into 100%, because
Yeah.
there are some that I do think are like some that we'll discuss in our chat that I think could be different than actually a real animal. Another consideration for Nessie though too, or not Nessie, sorry, Ogopogo and all of them. And there's another one too. I just wanted to mention Sadie, if we could get into that in a second, because there is a little bit of a difference with that one and these ones, but um, is like a time slip. Like, you know what I
Okay.
mean? Like it's just a moment of time where, for, whatever reason, because of what's going on in the world, like there's the Mandela effect and a lot of weird stuff's happening. I think anyone with their eyes open can't deny that.
Hmm.
Maybe it's just a time slip, and there's been a lot of those sightings in the last 20 years. Like it's almost sped up actually.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. What was that? What was the one you were gonna?
Sadie. So it's one from, the reason I mentioned Sadie, so it's one from Saddle Lake. Go on, Luna. Beat it. Sorry. I think the cat's at the door.
Oh.
You'll have to edit that out. Oh, the cat is at the door. Anyway, it's on Cree Nation land in northern Alberta, like an hour and a half north of Edmonton. It's a lake called Saddle Lake. And they have had sightings there for a very, very, very long time, like going back for quite a while, but it just stopped kind of essentially like it peaked in the 80s, and it was like hundreds of people in the 80s saw this thing.
Huh.
And then it kind of dissipated and went away, but it's come back again in the last 5 or 6 years. Like more people have seen it, and it's been in their oral traditions for a long time. And the difference between Ogopogo, like Ogopogo is seen as a more of a fearsome, like, you know what I mean? Benevolent kind of, or malevolent, you know what I'm saying? Like malevolent kind of, yeah. Whereas as Sadie is seen as the protector of the lake.
Okay.
Like a lot like the Basayun that we talked about in the Basque episode, right? Like that sort of vibe, right? So anyway, given that it's been there forever, like is that one a spirit thing? Like is that a you see it if you believe thing? Is anyway.
Well, or just like specific times, like specific earthly energies that bring it forth. You know, it's like that doomsday fish, right? Like have you seen that? That like that glowing, like sort of iridescent, like it's like a deep sea fish. I forget what it's called. I can look it up, but
and it lights up. It's down deep and
and
almost in the darkness, and it lights up and draws fish into it. That one.
Yeah, and apparently they only come to the surface like every like 400 years or something, and it's been linked to like cataclysms, and it recently washed ashore. I think it was in Japan.
Huh.
And so and
like recently, like in the last
year.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's I don't know. It makes me think of that, where it's like maybe they only kind of make themselves known when the energies bring them to the surface. You know.
Mm-hmm. And there's so much, like you were saying, Canada's lakes are so big, and I'm surprised that there are none attached to the Great Lakes. There aren't.
No, I couldn't find any either. I thought that was strange.
Yeah, it definitely seems like mostly in BC. There are a few in northern Alberta because there's Sadie, the one that I mentioned, and then there's another one, Christina, I think it's called, on Christina Lake, which is like 100 kilometer out. Anyway, so there's a couple there. There's one in like was it Lake Winnipeg? I think it's Manitoba or something like that. So there's Champ, but there's none in the Great Lakes. It's weird. And there's not really many in Ontario, I don't think. There's one like on the Ontario-Quebec border, but it's odd actually.
That is odd. So I guess we'll transition. Maybe we'll move away from the serpentine cryptids and into sort of something that blurs the lines a little bit. Being Sasquatch, you know.
Yeah, that's the main event when it comes to cryptids. I think that's the first thing that most people think about, right?
Yeah, definitely. And there's so many theories behind Sasquatch, whether he is just like, you know, a mountain man, kind of like, you know, big furry man, or if he is an ape type creature, or if it is this like shapeshifting, because I've heard like the shape shifting thing with that too. There's a lot of connections between Sasquatch and UFO sightings. Like a ton. I was reading about this like this firsthand account in a farm in northern Alberta, and the guy was like tracking Sasquatch over a course of like a few years, and every time he got close, there'd be like a Black Hawk helicopter that would come nearby, and like weird lights in the sky, and then he had like Men in Black type people showing up on his property and stuff.
Wow.
And he could never, every time he'd get close, it would basically just disappear, which is like, you know, kind of Sasquatch's MO. He can't be photographed in a clear manner. Like he just causes everything to go blurry for some reason.
It seems that, and I know that we have some video queued up, but it definitely seems, that no one can ever get a clear picture enough to zoom in and see exactly what he or she or they look like.
Yeah, my personal belief with Sasquatch is always that it's been like that he's kind of like a time traveler, like portal jumping kind of thing, right? Like I don't necessarily think it is just like a species that's like wandering the woods like a lost ape kind of thing, but it's because it's just and that would make sense with like camcorders going wonky when you get close to them and like just weird EMF readings and things like that too. Um and yeah.
I'm of the opinion that it like I agree. I think that's mixed in my opinion. I think that, and I think it's evolved too, because the UFO Sasquatch kind of attachment, when you look at like early accounts from the 1900s, like the early 19, because there's a lot of accounts in BC, right? In like the 1910, 1920, there's some in Ontario, which we'll get into in a second when I talk about my favorite old yellow top.
Yeah.
But they weren't attached to orbs. Like there was no orbs, there was no UFOs, there were no lights described. That kind of started in like the late 60s, early 70s. And Sasquatch in general exploded after the 1967, Sasquatch one that everyone knows, like the one that Joe Rogan made fun of, like that video, right?
Yeah.
So what does that say? Right? Like I think it's nuance. I think it's all like everything. I think it's maybe a bit of column A, column B, column C. Maybe a long time ago they were seeing remnants of of giants or whatever, and that stayed in the collective consciousness. And like are they seeing egregores now, or are we like, or is it legitimately UFOs? Like what, and where do they come from?
Yeah, and anything they turn into like anything they make really campy makes me wonder, because they've cartoonified Sasquatch so much, like to the point, especially like living on the West Coast. It's like it's in every gift shop. There's magnets and T-shirts and stuffed animals, and it's always like this cartoony kind of version of Sasquatch. When in reality, like if you really think about it, it's quite terrifying. And most of the accounts that you hear people talking about encountering Bigfoot is like a terrifying experience, right? Like they think they're going to die. So I just like, yeah, anytime they do that with something, like we've said in the past with like the gods, like Greek mythology and stuff, how they sort of like Disney that up. It's like it makes me think that, oh, there actually is something to it because they're trying to turn it into fantasy. They're trying to make you kind of ignore it because if it's just a cartoon character, then you just whatever, you put it in the back of your mind and you don't think about it in a critical way.
Or you think about it not in a critical way, but you think about it, dream about it, and then possibly create it. Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, there's that too.
or
I
it
guess,
could be a mix of everything. It could legitimately be that there are portals that does happen, that goes on. But some of the things are just people seeing energy, and them, that's what responds, or that's how they respond to that energy, right? Or that's what they see in that moment is a Sasquatch because of what's been put in their head from movies and fantasy and things like that, right?
Yeah. No, that's really true. I'll play maybe I think the Freeman footage is maybe a good one to start on.
Sure. Yeah. That's the one where he kind of looks back. I know this one. Yeah. It's like,
yeah. I have it queued up. Here we go.
Jesus. Get up here.
It seemed so. Yeah, he definitely looks back. It's also always hard to tell the size, right? Like because it's always from such a distance. And again, like I don't know why people can't seem to ever hold a camera still, but
right, especially in a moment like that.
Yeah.
And
it's always hunters too. Like that's the weird thing is like when you're a hunter, when you're looking through a sight that you have to control your breathing, right? Before you take the shot. And yet somehow these guys are always panting their asses off and like waving their arms around.
it's a pretty crazy video. Like just where you have it paused, right? Like that to me, and it moves.
Yeah.
That looks like he's got his head down, right?
Yeah. Jesus. And then he kind of like, you can tell he's like, oh shit, they saw me.
Yeah. Is that the guy breathing, or is that the Sasquatch making? That's the guy breathing.
Yeah, no, that's Fatty Magoo breathing. Yeah.
Isn't this the one where they made that like beef jerky commercial from? Like they ripped off that video?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. There's been so many. There's like that Molson Canadian commercial. There's like, I mean, Sasquatch was like or it was Kokanee. Yeah. Sorry, I can't believe I messed that one up. But yeah. I mean, Sasquatch is like a main character in the Kokanee ads.
And so, do you remember those ads at all? The Kokanee ads?
Yeah.
So the guy who was the ski like the old guy with the mustache in the first couple ones. Remember there was an old guy in it?
Yeah.
Who was the guy looking for the Sasquatch?
Yeah.
That is actually one of like there's like the 4 horsemen of Sasquatch, and he is one of them. What's his last name's Green.
Huh.
Yeah. Anyway,
is there more to
that
this?
was interesting to show again, right? How they've fantasized and kind of blown it up, so you don't know when you see it if it's actually real or not. John Green, that's his name. John Willison Green. Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway,
what was this one you sent me? Is this like the thermal? They catch it on thermal.
Yeah, so that was a guy in Mission, BC, in 2013 who caught it. I guess I wanted you to see it because I want to know what you think of it. You'll obviously, I don't know if you watched the whole thing yet or if this will be the first time, but it's him driving, and I guess he catches Sasquatch, and then he goes back and looks on thermal, and then he goes back and looks at it again and can see it in other spots. I'm just curious what you think about what he.
All right, let's check this one.
What he says is Sasquatch. I don't know.
Take a look at the camera footage from last night's car investigation, because around 3:30, I was driving down this dark road on the eastern quadrant of the target zone, and something just darted behind my car.
Good reenactment.
That was pretty strange. So now I just want to go back through this footage. I want to start by scanning the rear-facing thermal here. Right there. Right there. That's the thing that went behind my car.
Huh.
You see that? Look at this.
The next one's better.
But unfortunately, because this thing went behind the car, as I'm driving down that road, the distance is just getting greater and greater, and the detail is getting less and less. So there's just not much information there. If I check the footage from the other cameras for the same time that this happened, I might have a better shot of it. Okay, so here's some of the IR footage.
This is from Expedition Bigfoot.
Because if this thing was like close to the side of the road, and I know I passed by it and I got it on the rear, I should have it on the passenger-facing cameras. Yeah, nothing. Damn. I do have some thermal here off the side. You know what? If it's back there and it's got body heat, doesn't matter how far back it is.
Whoa. Okay.
Right there. There it is. Look at that. Wait a minute. Oh my gosh. There's 2.
See, that's really strange. That one gave me little goose pimples there. It's
and that's in Mission. That one that was filmed in Mission, I guess, in like a Bigfoot, a well-known Bigfoot hotspot.
Interesting.
Or Sasquatch hotspot.
The thing with that one though is this, like, and here's the thing about Bigfoot too, is like the size is always different. Like that didn't look like it was overly large, right? That could have easily been a bear. That could have been, or just a big person in a big coat. You know what I mean? Like it's really.
So I believe though, if the whole episode, they go through and analyze, and it's 2 people crouched, not 2 people, because that's what I was going to say. It could be 2 big people.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And they estimate the height. It's 2 hominids, we'll say, crouched down. Anyway, it's not on that whole video link. That video link was just like a little crop version, but
yeah, that's an interesting one for sure. I mean, living on the West Coast for as long as I have, and I mean, you've been out here a long time as well. Like, I've never seen anything. I've heard, you hear weird things in the woods, and the only thing that I have seen that kind of like alludes to sort of the big, like the Sasquatch lore, is like the weird stacking of trees. Like, have you ever seen that where you go and there's like a cross beam where it's like, it's not, and I know trees get downed all the time here because of wind and whatever, but it just the placement of it looks like it was actually physically placed there, and too large of a beam for a human to just lift above their head and stick up there. And that's like kind of synonymous with Bigfoot lore.
And you see them a lot in the forest on the island. You do, but there's not a ton of sightings of Sasquatch on the island. They're more on mainland, and I was gonna say too, there's a lot on the Olympic Peninsula, which is 30 kilometers away from us, but over water, right? And there's a guy on Twitter called Bugs Finds Bigfoot, and he has these things that he says are nests, like Bigfoot nests, and he posts pictures of them and stuff, and always finds those what you were talking about there, those the trees kind of in between other trees in a way that they shouldn't be able to naturally be, right? And bent down and pulled, and you see them a lot here on walks, but yeah. Little Sasquatch here. Are you trying to bring up the nest guy?
I was gonna look for it, and then I came across this one. I mean, this could very easily just be fake here, but I'll share this as well. This is like a pretty. You want a clear video?
Sure.
Park ranger captures Bigfoot.
Come on.
Whoa. Yeah. We're gonna call that either AI or
yeah.
There's
no way. Yeah, there's no. That's that's from the jerky commercial. That does look like the jerky commercial.
And you know what? And honestly, we'll probably never know now because of AI. It's hard. It's unless you see it in person. It's getting too easy to fake stuff, and it's gonna put all this stuff to bed, which is kind of disappointing.
I did learn through looking into this for tonight's show or today's show. I didn't realize that there were some hominid type cryptids in Ontario and in Labrador.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. The one, but they're different. So that's what I was going to say, right? There's I feel like the Sasquatch in BC could where do you think they come from? Do you think it's a portal thing? Do you think it's a real thing?
I think it's a portal thing. I think if anything, and most of the more convincing stories I've heard have been people that live in the woods, literal outdoorsmen and stuff that live outdoors and encounter these things in, and they always just kind of appear literally out of nowhere or come between trees. In a lot of the old growth forests and stuff, you hear stories about them. There's a really you can look it up. There's one in not that it's old growth necessarily, but like Harrison Hot Springs area. There's a lot of Sasquatch sightings around there.
That was the beginning of Sasquatch hunting, not hunting, searching. Sasquatch searching was Harrison Hot Springs for 50, 60 years before the big, the well-known film. That's where pretty much everyone saw them. Not that everyone's, but that's where they were seen. Sorry, not everyone saw them, but
I think it's interesting too because there's portions of that hot spring that you're not allowed to actually go. They feed the hot spring into obviously the resort, which is the most rundown, shitty resort ever. By the way, if anyone's ever been there, it's hilariously bad. But if you go on a hike up the kind of up the mountain, there's there's like sort of the natural springs that you can kind of dip your feet in, but then there's these restricted areas that you're not allowed to go past. And they say it's because it's just, it's indigenous land and it's protected, so they don't want tourists going there and stuff. But it kind of makes me wonder that it's like, if it's like protected for another reason, like maybe that's where these portal entrances are. And Harrison Hot Springs has a very weird vibe to it. Like the town itself is very creepy and has this sort of like otherworldly feel to it. Like it's
got an odd vibe.
For sure.
Agreed,
it does.
Agreed. Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah.
There's something to that.
I was going to say too, most of the sightings, the Sasquatch doesn't come across as like a protector of the forest. It comes across more as just almost like you've kind of surprised each other. I'm sure you've heard, and I don't think we have any to play, but I'm sure you've heard like the Sasquatch videos too, right? Or not videos, audio, where people have recorded their shouts and what they say are their shouts and their voices and them throwing rocks and things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like they kind of do more of those things. They're not like protecting.
It has which this is another thing I wanted to bring up as like another sort of angle on the cryptid stuff, is like it has a very like Skinwalker type feel to it at times. You know what I mean? Like there's like the mimicry and the weird shouts and cries and sounds that are heard at Skinwalker Ranch, and there is like a kind of like a Canadian version of that as well that kind of like resembles like a Wendigo, deer man kind of lore, right?
Yeah.
And
deer man's a weird one.
Yeah, so I started looking into that because again, like
I thought you'd like that one.
Yeah, and a lot of sightings in Alberta of deer man, also in Ontario. But the Alberta ones are interesting because like that's where like Swift Runner, right? Like the whole Wendigo, kind of like the main story of Wendigo is in Alberta. And there's a lot of like with the Rockies, right? Like there's a lot of similarities between the Appalachian area and the Rockies.
With things that go on?
Yeah. Very, very similar. So I started kind of looking into it. And hold on here one sec. So like the Alberta Rockies are obviously like they're newer mountains than the Appalachians, and the Appalachians have been worn down over the years because of weather and wind and whatever, right? So it makes me wonder if there is
mud floods.
Yeah. So it makes me wonder if there's sort of these connections in that, like, this is just the environment that these creatures sort of hang out in, and when they get sort of like forced out of one area, they go to another area, or they find their way there. So there was like, where was it? Like, so there's all these rules in the Appalachians, right? Where you don't whistle at night, and you close your blinds, because if they look in and you make eye contact with these skinwalkers, that they'll like come in. You're basically inviting them in, kind of thing. And it's like very similar with deer man and Wendigo, where it's like when they're visible, like you lock eyes and then you like can't look away. Like
that's when they have you.
Yeah, that's when they have you. And so, yeah, I just thought that was really interesting that like I don't know, Alberta's a weird place for that kind of stuff. There's a lot of strange sightings and a lot of like blacked out vehicles and military helicopters, and a lot of instances of farmers that are like, that find, people roaming around their land looking for something. And it makes me wonder also, so there's this other angle to it where it's like, are these creatures just like experiments? Do they know that the veil is thinning? Like military operations know that the veil is thinning, almost like a Stranger Things type vibe, where they're
that is one of the theories. Like, I'm not saying it's the one I necessarily subscribe to, or it's the leading theory, but that is one of the theories, that all cryptids are just like alien experiments gone wrong. Like they dicked around with something and just, you know what I mean? And that's all that is. But I don't know. There's too many other things that go on, in my opinion, to make that so. And there's too many old stories, right? Like when you hear about the old story, these are things that supersede or precede, all, alien stories.
Yeah.
The old yellow top one, right? Like that was when mining started. Like it was when mining started, they noticed this, Sasquatch type, a little bit different. I think it's these old yellow tops classified as like a marked hominid, similar to the Bassoon from Basque. And there's some on the coast of Vancouver that I remember you talking about during that episode as well. I can't remember the name of it. It starts with a D, that are also like different than Sasquatch. Like they have two-tone, they're a little bit smaller, two-tone fur and kind of long hair. They're almost more wild human is how they're described, like cross with ape versus just ape like.
Yeah.
And that's what this yellow top was. And yellow top appeared, like I said, around the time of the silver boom in Cobalt, Ontario, and exploded. Like there were sightings all over the place, and then it kind of died down because mining died down. And then when mining kicked back up again, I think it was in the mid 70s, 1974 or something like that. It was 28 people witnessed it in a bus.
Whoa.
And it was written about. It was in the newspaper. It was like in the North Bay Nugget. That John Green guy I mentioned before, who was a big cryptid investigator in the 70s, investigated it. And that was the last time it was ever seen. And they basically said that it was their theory was that it was a real, like a leftover or whatever from another time, and just naturally like died, and you know what I mean? And that's why they never saw it again. But the First Nation lore in that area talks about a protector. What do they call it? A hairy heart or giant hairy man? I think those are the two terms in English. I'm not gonna try to speak Ojibwe. And it was a protector type being, the same way, like I said, Bassoon was in Basque country. And I don't know, I find that interesting because that to me, is that a spiritual thing or a real thing? I don't think that's a portal thing. It seems like it's sticks in that one area, right? And just anyway.
Well, it's weird that it comes about when they start up the mines again, right? Because so if it is a protector thing, like is it there with intent? You know what I mean? Like not necessarily protecting the area, but almost as like a warning to people, like, hey, I told you to stop mining here. Like when you stopped mining, we went away, but you're back. So let's, get the fuck out, basically.
Yeah.
Because I was
just gonna say something I thought of, like a out there idea too, is like it's Cobalt's just over 100 kilometers, I thought, which is a ways, but it's not that far, and it's not that far fetched to think of tunnels going that long. The biggest underground base in Canada is in North Bay, and they were building it during that time. Like they started building it in the early 50s, right? So maybe that's what drove the thing out, and that's anyway.
Awaken the giant kind of thing.
Yeah. Like it disappeared for a bit. Silver mining kind of went away, and then they started doing that, and then they started mining more, and he came back. But yeah, it was interesting. I didn't know there was Sasquatch in Ontario, and I used to spend a lot of time in that area, and I'd never even heard that story until this episode. So it was kind of neat looking into that. Yeah.
Well, now it's got me thinking too, right? Like where it's a lot of the Sasquatch sightings have been seen in British Columbia and in Washington and stuff, is where they harvest like this old growth wood, like, you know what I mean? So in that sense where it's like, hey, stop messing with the land, is when they're seen. And again, like it's even the theories behind like the cattle mutilation stuff, right? Like this is not necessarily cryptid because it's more of like a paranormal UFO kind of theories surrounding that stuff. But it could be some sort of like Wendigo thing. It could be some sort of creature that's warning, because the cattle industry is very, can be very destructive. And a lot of the sightings, I did end up looking up some cattle mutilation stuff because it did get me kind of thinking down this path. And so a lot of the cattle mutilations were like late 70s, early 80s, and that's really when a lot of the industrial farming really, really kind of took off. They're in like the St. Paul area, which is like, and again, it's always on cattle farms. Like it's near like industrialized farming areas. And the interesting thing with the cattle mutilations, right, is like, it's not like a scavenger type thing. It's not like you can tell that this cattle's been ripped apart by wolves or whatever. It's like missing all of its blood. It's missing its internal organs, but there's like precision incisions in it. It's missing like tongue and eyes and things like that, which, you know, scavengers do tend to go for the soft tissue first, but
they don't drain the blood and do those things with that sort of precision, right? Like, yeah. Those, when you see the pictures and the evidence from that, that's no scavenger, in my opinion. I also, was it not true from that video or those videos that and that research that cattle mutilations only occur in countries where they replaced another animal with cattle?
Where the buffalo?
Well, yeah. Because in South America, it wasn't the buffalo. It was another animal that I think it was some other animal that they decimated in Argentina or something like that.
Right.
They replaced it with, so it has to do with them using cattle to replace something that was there. But yeah, here in North America, it was the buffalo.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
Places that didn't just bring them in, they don't happen, or places that have them normally. Because I believe it's England doesn't have them, correct?
Yeah. No, it's like, yeah. And even like in Canada, like it's only in Alberta and Saskatchewan.
Yeah, where the buffalo were. Yeah. Not in Ontario. Yeah, not in the Maritimes. You'd think that they would go anywhere.
And St. Paul, Alberta, just happens to be the UFO capital of Alberta, by the way, as well.
Really?
Yeah.
The
most amount of UFO sightings. So, I mean, there's definitely, it feels like there's something there. But again, like that's what makes me think it's like, yeah, it's those cryptids, they're just like these either like creatures that kind of like bad experiments that got out of hand and got released, and they're just kind of tracking them down, which is why there's always military involved, like, you know, in the area. Or like we said, like this, you know, sort of like a spiritual warning, like a spiritual alarm, right? Like where it's like, okay, you've messed with the energies of the area so much that you've broken down that protective barrier, and now the veil is down and you've unleashed the, you know, the Demigorgon.
Yeah, I think like everything, it's nuanced, and I think there's a lot of the cryptids are everywhere.
Yeah,
legitimately everywhere, and all different kinds, and you know what I mean. Like they're certainly prevalent all over Canada, and there's lots of stories of them all over Canada. But you know, they're all over the States and everywhere else. Like you look, they're all over the world. There was I was looking at. There's one. I don't know if you can find it. If you could find this video, I would love for you to be able to find it, because I want to know what you think. I couldn't find it again. It's a video of an Almasty, which is like a Russian wild man / Sasquatch.
Almasty.
Yeah, it should be on YouTube. If you put Almasty and like maybe boy and son or something like that.
Let's just see. Russian Bigfoot. What if I just search that?
I know it's a Canadian show. I mean, we probably shouldn't be talking about Russia because Russia's bad, but we're supposed to be. Anyway.
Almasty cryptid. Here we go. Let's see what we got for videos.
And it should be one like
Is it from 2015?
Yeah, maybe around there. And it's like a forest scene. It'll be like a wooded forest, and the top right is where the Almasty should appear. And as soon as you put it on, it'll be a guy talking in Russian to his kid.
I think I found it.
I'm just curious what you thought. Yeah, this is it.
Это что, на YouTube выложим? Смотри все. Блин, это сюда. Вон, смотри. Он перешли, по-моему. Я ничего не... О, вон, какая-то. Чучело. Смотри, ветки.
It'll come in a sec.
Oh, he's got like a bit of a gallop to it.
Yeah.
Ё-моё! Вот это килограмм 200 весит.
So can you pause it for a sec?
Yeah.
If you go back and play it again, at the end, look and see if you can see also another animal there while they're there. But yeah, it definitely looks more monkey-like than like a man.
Я боюсь. Вот.
It almost has like a lemur type bounce to it.
Чучело. Смотри, ветки шатаются. Смотри. О, побежал! Я заснял его.
Does-
Пошли. Я
Yeah.
заснял.
And like a notable like tail.
And there's a fucking bear right there. That's what I was gonna say. These guys are freaking out.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
a big giant bear right there.
Just hanging out. He doesn't
Yeah.
seem to mind.
No,
Я боюсь. Надо опять эту съемку.
I think that's it. He doesn't come back. It was just
That is weird.
Yeah, so that's like that's Sasquatch in Russia is an Almasty, right? And when you look into this, it seems any mountainous area, like right, there's Yeti,
Yeah.
Basayun, like it's kind of goes hand in hand with mountainous areas and trees and that sort of thing, as you have these giant hominid kind of lore, or this giant hominid lore.
It's weird stuff, man. It's definitely, it's kind of creepy.
Mm-hmm.
I will say I like the Canadian cryptid side of things because it's not quite as, it doesn't like dive into the paranormal end as much. It doesn't seem as like demonic as, you know, like the Appalachian stuff and like the whole like creepy, like the mimicry thing with the Skinwalkers really just like that shit sends shivers down my spine.
Yeah, Skinwalker Ranch is almost too creepy for me to. I like I've looked into that story quite a bit, and I remember watching a bunch of episodes on it, but it really creeps me out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's something definitely like demonic and
yeah.
That
I think it's almost undeniable for that place, right? Whereas you're right, like it seems like the ones that happen in Canada are different than that.
Yeah. We got like little sea dragon, Dudley the dragon swimming around in the lake and
with a horse head.
Yeah.
And when you see Ogopogo, right? Like in all the Ogopogo, and I think it's the same with Champ, right? It looks like a cute little dragon.
Yeah.
Like that is what it looks like. Yeah.
Yeah, and then, you know, Harry and the Hendersons for Sasquatch. Which I used to love that movie when I was a kid.
One scary one though, the scariest one for me is the Mothman. That has always been the one cryptid for me, and I don't know if it was just seeing the movie, and you know I remember reading the book as well. It was a long time ago, the like John Keel book, but like that, the way that it was kind of seen everywhere, right? Like a big spat of sightings,
yeah,
and then that bridge collapses, and then gone.
Yeah. The Mothman, I really liked the Mothman Prophecy. That movie was really well done. I enjoyed that one. But it that stuff is again but again, it's like a warning, right? It seems to be like these cryptids are just like a warning sign. Like when you see them, and maybe that's a good thing that we haven't come across any of them or seen them, because it's maybe a sign that something not so great is going to happen. So it's probably best if you don't see them.
Hey, the biggest researcher, all the biggest researchers, like up until, you know, the video age, none of them ever saw a Bigfoot.
Huh.
Like the four horsemen of Sasquatchery, we'll call them. None of them ever saw it. Like they went everywhere looking for it. Never saw it anywhere. They relied a lot on firsthand accounts, and that's how they did a lot of their research. But they also spent a lot of time in the field, and they never saw anything. And that was like that Burns guy, that J.W. Burns, moved to Canada when he was 20 years old and spent his whole life in Harrison Hot Springs, and he never saw one.
Yeah.
I talked to lots of other people who did and believe them. Yeah. Those old stories, and I'm gonna have to go in a sec. If that's
good.
okay. But I just, out of all the stories that I heard, the one that was the creepiest for me, the only creepy one actually was about It was from that Burns guy talking about a First Nations woman who was 52 or 62, somewhere in her, I think it was early 60s when he interviewed her. But she told a story that in the 1870s, she was kidnapped by a Sasquatch, lived with a family of them for over a year, and then was sent home and aborted a Sasquatch hybrid baby. That's
Whoa.
actually, like, you can look it up. That's a real, that's her. That was her, like, her, what she said happened. And that to me, you don't come across very many of those stories when talking about Sasquatch in Canada.
Yeah, no, not at all. Huh.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good one to maybe wrap it up on. I'll have to look that up and include it in the show notes there. But
I think it's in there. If you look at it'll be somewhere in the notes.
Okay.
From earlier. Yeah.
Cool. Well, yeah, man, this was a fun chat. Is kind of nice to get off of the get away from magic and get away from politics and get away from all that for a little bit and just talk about some tree apes.
Yeah. A good old sitting around the campfire having some beers kind of chat.
Yeah, exactly. But so I'll maybe, we got a lot of good guests coming up here and stuff, and I don't want to like divulge from those conversations too much. And we did miss last week, so maybe I'll drop this one as a bit of a bonus episode in the middle of the week or something.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Give people a little bit of a reprieve from the heavy stuff. So
provided you don't have to do too much editing.
Yeah, nah, I won't even bother. If you don't want to listen, if you're still listening to us after, this will be like episode 20, I think it is.
Yeah.
So if you're still listening after 20 episodes, you know what you're in for. So
yeah.
But yeah, man, thanks for jumping on, and well, I'll let you do the thing and then let you get out of here.
Cool, man. Thanks, I appreciate it. Yeah, it was nice chatting with you. We haven't seen each other that much over the last little bit, so
yeah,
even though I can't be there, it's still good to do it. Anyway, from the land of the high seas and the tall trees, I'm Mike.
I'm Andrew.
Have a great night.
We will catch you next time.